Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming to the talk. I'm sure you all vaguely know why you're here, and it's because we're talking about cats and UEFN, primarily UEFN. So I'm Inge Berman. This is UEFN Right Meow, a cat cafe post-mortem and other tricks and treats. So basically what I'm going to be talking about in this talk is how I made a cat cafe game inside of UEFN. I'm going to go over some of the tools that I used, some different techniques that I used to kind of elevate the art past just using the Fortnite assets and devices. I'm going to be going through making a trailer and marketing your game and trying to get onto the Discovery tab, getting more players. And I'm also going to be talking about the analytics. I'm going to bare my heart and soul and everything, all the metrics to you so you know exactly how the Cat Cafe went, how it's currently going, and also things that I think that if I had done it better, I probably would have gotten more players and would currently be getting more players and stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm going to start with a little introduction about me. Just so we can all get to know one another. You can introduce yourselves to me later so I can get to know you too. But yeah, I come from a background in ceramics, which I feel like is funny to say now because it's actually like I've been in the game industry for 10 years now, so I also have a background in game development. I am the co-founder and art director of Lemonade Games, which is an indie Australian company. We're making a haunted antiquing game called Mystiques. So chat to me about that or check that out. This is a still from that is currently in production at the moment. I'm also the lead environment artist at Summerfall in Melbourne. We're working on a new fun, exciting project. And I absolutely adore making UEFN in my spare time, UEFN games in my spare time. I'm working on a couple of different titles at the moment, including Cat Cafe 2, whoa, announcement. And also a avid gardener and a moss enthusiast, which I think is relevant to say because I incorporate these things that I love into a lot of my art direction and game design. And I love cats, so Cat Cafe, let's go. What are we talking about today? What is the Cat Cafe? Why on earth did I choose UEFN to make this thing? What are my inspirations behind it? How to stand out from the crowd and not just look like another one of those like cookie clicker tycoon games? How to elevate Fortnite assets using devices, trailers, marketing, communities, and analytics. So, what is Cat Cafe? I feel like it says it pretty well right here. Cat Cafe is a cat collecting game. It exists on an island where there are different biomes all over the island. Basically, you are greeted by a person in the beginning who's like, oh my God, the cats are missing, help me find them, they're so hungry and it's time for dinner. So then you go over the island. It is non-linear, so you can explore and collect all of the different cats that are all over the island and send them back to the cafe. When you collect all 21 cats, you get a big yay, and then that's the game. It actually originally was not going to be a game like this at all. My original idea was just to make a cat cafe that was like a fun little hangout space, because I saw that there were actually a number of UEFN spaces that are literally just rooms that people hang out in that are doing incredibly well. So I was like, a cat cafe would be so fun. So Cat Cafe actually started out as that. And then I started getting into devices and seeing how cool they were and how easy it is with non-programmer, I do not code, how easy it is to make an entire game by myself. So I did that. And a project that was supposed to be 1 month turned into 3 months. But also in terms of making an entire game by yourself, 3 months is really not that long. So here are some of the inspirations. I added these because I think that it is important to remember your roots as to why you're making something in the first place. In COVID lockdown, I got really into Final Fantasy XIV with a bunch of friends. And one of the aspects of this game is that you can buy a house with your friends and you can buy different furniture or win different furniture or whatever. And then you can make and customize your own little houses. And then other people in the game can come and hang out in your houses, or you can go and visit their houses as well. And on our server, The most popular space was some person who decided to turn their house into a cat cafe. And they stood there at the counter and like talked to people as if they were like a person running a cat cafe. So adorable. So ever since then, I thought I would love to make my own cat cafe. I think that would be really fun. So that idea marinated for a year or two. And then when I heard about UEFN, I was like, this is the perfect moment to make my cat cafe. Other inspirations are, Studio Ghibli, Calico, which is a really cute cat cafe indie game, very adorable. And just cottagecore generally as a genre, just like anything cute, cozy, cottages in forests, bunches of flowers, freshly baked bread, love it. So why did I choose UEFN? I wanted to explore the platform. When I heard about it, I just thought that it sounded incredible. I actually wanted to use it as a prototyping tool for Mystiques. So I originally, by making the Cat Cafe, I wanted to see if it was a viable way to prototype a full game whilst being able to utilize Fortnite assets, which are already really well polished. They have the modular building assets are amazing. They've been programmed to snap together and everything, so fantastic for prototyping spaces. But then also, you have characters that are at the ready that you can play, that are animated. The doors open. You can add devices if you want to push your prototype even further. So yeah, turns out UEFN is actually a fantastic prototyping tool as well. Even if you don't want to release the game, trying out ideas with your friends is fantastic. I've always wanted to release a solo project, which I mentioned earlier, so check. And it already has a huge player base. I thought, oh, this is awesome. I don't actually have to like market it at all. People are just gonna play it because it's in Fortnite. That's not exactly right. So we'll talk about marketing later, but yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, sure, there are people who are just gonna find it natively, but definitely if you are struggling to get on those discovery tabs, I've got a couple of slides on that later. And then, of course, there is the potential for passive income. Hooray, don't we all want that? Yes, it is achievable, it is doable. Let's figure out how to do that because like times be hard. And if you can make money off a project that doesn't really take that long to make, and you can have a couple ticking along, and each of them make, I don't know, however much they make. At the moment, Cat Cafe is making around $300 to $400 a month that I just get, which is fine. I mean, there are people making like so much more, and I did have spikes in that, which I will talk about later, and where those spikes were generated. So if you're on it, you'll do well. But yeah, great source of passive income. Imagine if you had 10 of them that were doing well. Done. So let's talk about the dismal state of the UEFN market. And I'm really sorry, any Epic employees or anyone who this offends, but I'm sure you're all aware. It looks like mobile game, like clickbait, like, oh my God, my house needs like renovations, but like my wife is ugly, or like, I don't know, those like really weird mobile game ads that you get. So this is basically like most of the games that are hitting like the top plays. There's tycoon games. There's Bed Wars, which is basically like a capture the flag thing from what I've gathered, except like you have to capture beds. There is Red versus Blue, which is what it sounds like. There's Prop Hunt, which I actually think is really cool. For those of you who don't know prop hunts, it's like hide and seek. You become a prop and then you go and hide and then people have to try and find you. Actually, like, I think it's a really good idea. The only issue is there's so fucking many of them now. So, take that as you will. Obbies, which my 11-year-old nephew was like, oh yeah, obbies are really popular right now. I was like, obbies, that's weird. He's like, yeah, it's like you jump on platforms and you like do things. I was like, is it short for obstacle course? And he was like, oh yeah, probably. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. Basically they're platformers, but yeah, apparently like the kids are calling them obbies now. So just like little Gen A advice for you. And of course, Cat Cafe, which just like, dominates the whole thing. No, I put Cat Cafe in this list because there are outliers. There are games that people are pushing this. There are people doing cute little narrative games. There are people doing like fun little atmospheric art projects and stuff. There are the little interesting gems in there. But unfortunately, a lot of the time they're not on the Discovery tab lists, and they are kind of hard to find, but they are there. So, you know, let's figure out how to make like cool and interesting games. And I know that people at Epic are actually really working towards making some of these more interesting creative titles be more discoverable. And they are already doing a really fantastic job. So I'm going to go a little into a cat cafe now, or a lottle into cat cafe now. So how did I make Cat Cafe stand out from the crowd and not look like another one of those tycoon games? I elevated Fortnite assets, which are primarily uneditable. You can't use the modeling tools on them. You can't re-UV them in Engine. You can't even export them and do anything and like re-import them. They don't let you. They don't want you to touch them. So I'm going to talk about that. I used Epic Marketplace assets. This cat here, that cat is not a Fortnite cat. That cat is one that I bought in a cat pack on Marketplace. And just, you have to like make an Unreal project, cat, migrate to get them in. You can't just like drag them in unless you're using Fab. So there's like the Fab and the Marketplace. Anyway, whatever. Cats are not Fortnite assets. I modeled some of my own assets as well. I should note that the Marketplace assets and the self-modeled assets are not optimized as well as the Fortnite assets. You can basically place like as many Fortnite assets as you want in there, but as soon as you start placing your own ones and Marketplace assets, even if you've lowered the texture sizes, even if they are like fairly low poly, I don't know what's going on under the hood there. I would love if somebody knew to like tell me after this, but they take up so much more memory than the Fortnite assets. And I suppose because the Fortnite assets are literally made to be optimized for this tool. So anyway, if you want to use those, just like be aware of that and be sparing with them so you don't put too many in and then realize you have to take a lot of them out. Elevating the devices and using your big brains, and I'm sure a lot of you are Unreal developers, so using your Unreal skills inside of UEFN goes a huge, long way. Adding music, no brainer. A lot of people don't. Really makes your game look really, really good if you do. And a lot of attention to detail and a lot of love, which, you know, this part for me takes the longest amount of time, but I think it's important to like, especially if you're doing it as like a passion project or something, like, you know, in your spare time. I don't know, it's those, for me, it is that last point that makes all the difference, and it actually makes you do an amazing game, is if you care. So, no touchy, Fortnite assets, but you can get funky and creative and modify them, so let's see how. These are cool. These are galleries with, sorry, that was a really fast clip, but the roof assets. They were, you can just import that whole like set of roof pieces from the Princess Tower collection. And then building on top of here is like the Haunted Mansion prefab. So what I've got here is like one building that is pre-built and a whole lot of different roofs. There was also like some other assets that I pulled in from Fortnite as well. And basically what I did was I mashed them all together. I deleted walls, replaced them with different things. The snapping is not on, don't at me. It's because I'm shoving things inside each other, so yeah. But yeah, in the end, it makes, there's a cat up there too. But I made this beautiful witch tower, which looks completely different to anything in Fortnite, but it is entirely using Fortnite assets. So just being really creative with what's available. And also making this didn't take too long. It takes a lot longer if you were to like drag floor in, like, you know, duplicate walls around and actually like build the entire space yourself with the assets. But using this pipeline with like pre-existing building, deleting what you don't need, replacing what you do want, and kind of editing and building on top of that It doesn't take too much time, and you end up with something that is completely unique and completely unique to your game as well. Similarly, this is the same thing, but on a lower scale. The one on the left here is it's like a stone skull that I pushed into the ground and then added rocks on top of to make it look like a cat, and that's in the Pirate Cove. And then I added this is just a prefab lighthouse, which is also like, you can go in and like run up the stairs and stuff, and that's just a drag and drop. But by duplicating the lights and adding some literal just cone shapes on top, it's now a cat lighthouse. And people who play Fortnite, who know this asset as well, they can come in, see that, and go, oh, haha, it's the lighthouse, but also it's a cat now, which is like adding these like fun little things for Fortnite diehard fans, which is like most people who play Fortnite are like, they so play Fortnite. Seeing something like this that's elevated like that is like a fun little meme joke for them. I also added achievement in this tower. There is a staircase that runs like all the way up to the top. And it takes quite a while to get up to the top as well, actually. It's not actually an achievement that gives you XP, but when you get up to the very top, it says absolutely no payoff. There's no cat, there's no anything, which was fun. I got a lot of DMs about that, being like, fuck you. And yeah, this is the same thing again. This is making a little forest shrine walk using the iconic fish sticks character murals and shoving little rocks in their faces so that they make little cats to make this beautiful little walk. This is the other thing that I think really elevated my game just to look completely different to everything else on the market. I made a massive custom material library that I could just drag and drop onto Fortnite assets. They don't let you edit the mesh, but they do let you drag new materials on top of things. And it doesn't work for everything because like chair with like wooden legs and a different material base, if you drag one material on it, looks heaps weird. But if you grab a cushion asset and then place it on the chair and add two different materials that are yours onto it, you have yourself a chair that is completely customized and yours. Sorry, Fortnite, but I won the game. So the top image here is a shot from inside the cat cafe. As you can see, I have put these custom textures that I made that have the paw prints and they have the cat faces. Honestly, I made tons of them and all different colors and things to like match each of the different biomes. So the top one is an image from inside the cat cafe. You can see that they're on the floors, they're on the cushions, they're on the cat tower in the background. That seems really blown out. I'm not sure you can see that, but anyway. I made little like doilies for the tops of the tables and the rugs. So yeah, all of a sudden this room does not look like a Fortnite asset anymore. And same with this little picnic area. Obviously did the same thing except with like a pink color scheme. And I did the same with this pirate ship prefab. Just dragged and dropped the entire prefab and deleted all of the things inside that I did not want, which was so much stuff. But by adding and making it a little smaller so that it's like a cat-sized pirate ship, and then it had a octopus flag on it, and just changing that texture, it immediately is themed to the game and looks like an entirely new asset. So very, very quick win with that one. So this is using your pre-existing Unreal skills, which is, I know that this sounds like really basic, but a lot of the people who are making these games don't have a background in game development. They don't use Unreal. They have started with UEFN or they have started with Fortnite Creative. And they don't know about Niagara particle effects. They don't know about post-processing volumes. They don't know about fog. They don't know about God rays. They don't know about light functions. This is your time to shine and show that you can do all of these cool things. There's also like a million things that I am not mentioning here that you can elevate your games with. And also if you know how to code and you know like verse stuff, then yeah, you'll be sweet. So being able to elevate these tech art things, there are a bunch of devices that do like particle effects and fog, but they are not that customizable, and it is really obvious when people have made their own and put them in there. So I'll show you a little example here. This is Shrekitty. A lot of the cats are like movie themed. So this is Shrekitty in his swamp. As you can see, I have used a caustics light function that I projected onto the wall. I've made my own fog volumes in the background there and around this area. There's custom God rays in there, which you can't actually see in this image, but they're in there. There's particle effects. And there's also a post-processing volume around the whole thing. So as you walk into this swamp, it changes, color space and lighting and mood and everything. And a little song creeps in as well. So it just feels really, really special and unique. So speaking of the music, add it, do it. It's really not that hard, and people absolutely love it. The amount of people who messaged me saying that they absolutely love the music moments in this game was so beautiful. It's a no-brainer. I'm not going to go too far into this, but like royalty-free libraries, do it, plonk them in. Don't just make a full, annoying song that goes over the whole game, because that's what a lot of other UEFN games do. They will just cool, theme song, runs over the whole thing, so annoying. I made my game is primarily quiet throughout the whole thing, but then in pockets as you go into different zones, different songs play, and people really love that. This person, Cat, they loved it. Also adding Fortnite meme-y kind of music, knowing your audience. In the Pirate Cove area, I used, I don't know if you know the Wellerman shanty song. It is a Fortnite dance, and it is a TikTok dance meme. I found a royalty-free version of that and put that into the Pirate Bay area. So it was really gratifying when I would go in and play my own game and realize that there were people doing that Fortnite dance in that area because they were kind of prompted by that song coming on. So little things like that, I think, really are special for the players. Devices. Coding. I didn't do it, as you can see. Install Visual Studio. No, thanks. But here are some of the things that I use devices for. So this is just basically what happens when you find a cat. Niagara particle effect happens, and it disappears and goes into the cat cafe. But what's happening under the hood? There are cinematic sequences here. One of them is the animation of the cat outside. The other one then is the cat playing inside the cafe. So when you press the button, the cat disappears, particle effect goes off, cat is now in the cat cafe. There's also, you can pat the cats in the cat cafe as well. You pat them and you get achievements for cat patting. Perfect. This one that I'm clicking on now, or the yellow square, that was an accolade device that gives out XP. Which I did a bunch of achievements that gave XP all over the island as well. This one is the global HUD message, so when somebody gets a cat, a message comes up across everybody's screen saying, so-and-so has gotten a cat. And there was also a dialogue box in there, so when you click on it, it says the who's this kind of thing. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little into the accolade devices in a bit when I talk about my struggles. But at the moment, we're just still having fun talking about the not struggles. Devices, more devices. Just use them, especially if you don't want to code at all. There are so many that do different things, and these were super. You're not actually supposed to get ammo there or guns, but I couldn't switch it off. But now you can. So I added traversal things all over this map because the map was humongous, And they actually made a really nice, in a non-linear game, they did actually make a really nice linear kind of track for people to follow. And you know, if you take a zip line to somewhere, you kind of expect there to be a cat on the other side. And there was. Also motorbikes, they were really fun, really good for getting across the island as well, and a giant cat tower that had a cat art gallery inside it. And the chickens, there's a bunch of different wildlife spawners that are really fun. There were only chickens in this game because I wanted to make an entire chicken jump puzzle, which I did make, but FYI, your character jumps the same distance and the same height without a chicken as well. So if you design an entire puzzle to be based on grabbing a chicken, that's just something that you should know, is that they can do the puzzle without the chicken too. Here they are. There are the struggles. They've been hiding here. So I'm not going to delve too deeply into a lot of these. If you want to learn more about them, feel free to ask a question afterwards, or yeah, find me later or whatever. So the first thing that was like a massive struggle was that you can't use the Fortnite assets in the foliage tool. So if you want a very dense forests and stuff, you can't paint them on. You have to hand place those guys all over the place. And this doesn't look that dramatic, but that's because it's zoomed out and like a bunch of the LODs have like switched off. But there is grass everywhere. There are small plants. There are like tiny little details that I put in the ponds and stuff. I went all out on decorating this place, and it really took a very, very long time. So if you want a super dense forested map, I would recommend that you use one of the islands that already has like tree placement on it and then edit it from there, because at least you're not just starting from absolutely nothing. Or think about having a look at downloading assets or making your own assets from Marketplace and getting like a tree pack or something, because you can use those in Foliage Tool. You just can't use the Fortnite ones. But as I said earlier, this is difficult because they are most probably not optimized at all. So just be prepared that this might tank your game as well. So, oh no, the island is too big. This was because I used one of the island templates, and I kind of didn't really realize, I didn't really know much when I first started out. This was the first UEFN game that I made. I didn't know that it was going to be hugely massive and take actually a really long time to get from one side to the other. So using some of those devices that get you across places faster was really useful. I actually deleted a huge chunk off one of the islands because the landscape editing tools are available to you. I literally just flattened a bunch of that out, and you can copy and paste some of the pre-existing mountains around if you want to move them in. That was a super useful technique. There is no good customizable UI device. If you use the UI devices, you get the Burbank Fortnite font. You get the blue and the white and a couple of different colors. If you want your UI to look different, you should learn Verse, which I did not. I just kind of dealt with the Fortnite fonts and everything. If I was to, this was the one place that I almost wavered and almost jumped in to just do this one specific thing, and then I had to just remember that I was keeping my eye on the prize and doing, that I needed to make this game not in a year, in a couple of months. The other thing that was a struggle was my XP going. And this was when I showed earlier those accolade devices that deal out XP. So when you release a map, you have a time period that's based on player count where it has to calibrate the XP from all of the accolade devices. And I think that this is around 10,000 players that they have to get the metrics from before they actually start dealing actual XP to your players. If you've got a lot of players, sure, you will hit this in a day or a couple of days. If you don't have that many players and it's just kind of ticking along and you've got like, 200 players a day, this actually takes a while. And when you do get a game that grants XP, this brings in more players because people want XP and they want to play games that give XP. But yeah, it also takes a while to get there. So one of the biggest issues that I had was finally getting my XP being dealt out, but then I did an update. And I didn't realize that when you do an update, it starts your calibration thing all over again. So my XP got taken away from my players, and I had to go through that whole counting process again. It was really annoying the second time, actually the third time I should say. The first time I was thankfully on the Discovery tab, so I got the XP within like a day or two. The second time it took a little bit of time, but then I got epic picks, which I will talk a little about in a bit. And the third time round, which I am still on, is it's just taking a while because my viewers are anywhere between 5 and 10 people at a time. So it's taking a while to recalibrate. I've had people DMing me being like, "Where's my XP?" And I'm like, "Sorry. There's not really anything else I can do about that," and just like wait for more people to play. But this was the main struggle. Optimization, which in any game, UEFN is not unique to that, optimizing. And this is what my main confusion was from the beginning. On the left-hand side there, it says project size 30%. So I was like, sick, that's like so much space. I can make as much stuff as I want. That's not true. It's based, the one on the left is in editing mode, and that is based on the full project size. The one on the right is the current memory usage, and that's in the play mode. You can see that it is almost at 100%. This is the same project, mind you. So the one on the right is actually based on the grid structure that it uses. So this is the cell size and the grid that goes across your whole map. You can change that size, and it's basically like with that coupled with the loading range is basically like your LOD ranges. So you can edit that. But if you have too many high density places in the one area, this is what happens. It's using 87 out of 100 of just like that, your little area. And the way that I could have avoided this, here's a visualization of that happening and of my memory calculation happening in real time. The way that I could have avoided that, and how I will continue to avoid this in the future, is planning out my maps beforehand and making sure that any like high density areas are spaced out enough so that they are not intercepting with the grid size on its surrounding areas, if that makes sense. So I had started with making the cat cafe that was kind of in the middle of the island, and I obviously didn't know about this at all. I made the picnic area super close by because I was kind of just expanding out from there. But then I realized as I started doing these memory builds that was not going to work. And that's when I started building all of the different high density biomes across other parts of the island. And that's also where the traversal devices came in really handy. This was another really, really useful tool. This was for figuring out what assets and what groups of assets were tanking my project. You can just go into the window and the memory test results, and then you can browse to that asset. If it's a collection of assets, it'll highlight all of them as well. It was amazingly useful for things like if I was using 2 different kinds of grass, for example, in the same area that looked kind of the same, I could easily navigate to it, select them all, figure out which ones were like using the more memory space or whatever, and then I could replace them so that they were both the same instance. So I think a big takeaway from this part was in each of your biomes, if you want to use a lot of different plants, that's fine, but I think kind of stick to some of like the similar ones. Don't just choose like a whole lot of different random plants, because when they're not instanced, they're going to use a whole lot more memory. So yeah, that was a big lesson that I learned. And then you can get diversity in other areas, like make the biome over the other side with completely different plants. So how are we doing for time? Looks like we're coming up to it soon. I actually do have like a fair bit to go through, so I will go through the rest of it quite quickly. I think this was a huge reason as to why I got a lot of plays, and also as to why I won epic picks. And as I'll show you later in the analytics, getting epic picks is everything, especially if you are like a random game that is not getting the views that you want and hitting the discovery tabs, which a lot of the time is just random. So using sequencer, using cameras, staging your shots, making really like great trailers, yeah. And then also using the Fortnite playback mode was really, really useful. I'll show you in a second how you do that. That's to get like multiplayer or in-game footage. And then also using game trailers as inspiration. If you are stuck on like, what the hell do I do and how do I make this cool? Just look at a game trailer and like, you know, make a thing. So this is one of the shots that I got from using cameras and the cinematics. I staged the cats and made the lighting really beautiful and everything, so it's nice for a trailer. And this is the Fortnite playback. It's really amazing. All you have to do is play a game, do a couple of things that you want to record. It's just in here as a saved replay, confirm. And then you have a camera that you can change the angles of the camera. You can use, I loved this drone, this free drone mode. You can also pause whatever is happening in that playthrough. Move the camera to where you want, remove the UI, and then just screen cap what is happening. And yeah, if you've got a bunch of people playing with you as well, super useful. I use this a ton. So I'll show you in the next slide, which is the trailer that ended up being released for it. So you can see a bunch of these different techniques that I used in the trailer. Oh, this is supposed to have sound. There we go. This is like the unofficial, official Cat Cafe theme. Okay, so marketing. I used a lot of this cinematic footage that I gathered for marketing purposes, and I think that it's really good to keep in mind that you are going to be reusing a lot of these shots and a lot of this footage in the future for various kinds of marketing, whatever things that you're wanting to do. So while I was getting this footage for the trailer, I was also getting other random little things that were like little ideas that I wanted to use for various TikToks or whatever as well. So just keeping that running in the back of your mind. Also just like keep a list of ideas that you have so that you remember them all as well. Being aware of TikTok trends and trending sounds. Look, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you don't really want to just trawl through TikTok and like rot your brain for hours on that. But if you get TikTok and look at some of the hashtags that are related to UEFN, especially, not specifically UEFN, but like Fortnite creative maps, because there are people who love Fortnite creative maps and trying and finding like new and interesting things. Check out those hashtags, have a look at what they're playing, have a look at a couple of the sounds. If there are songs that you hear, like, oh, I've heard that sound and I've heard that sound again. There are also trending tabs as well. Choose one of those songs and just slap it over the top of one of your videos, and it'll already be in one of the trending lists. So this video isn't playing. Choose your character. This was a TikTok trend that I just thought, hilarious. Let's do that for one of them. And it actually did insanely well and got a whole lot of people playing. So, you know, very low effort video. Choose your character. Okay, you can be quiet now. Yeah, so the relevant hashtags, and then of course apply for epic picks, which is here. The perks to epic picks, obviously it gets you a ton of plays, it gets you back onto the discovery tab. Tips to winning it is what we've already talked about. I think create a unique title. Epic wants interesting, unique titles. They are not often choosing tycoon games and Bed Wars things as their picks. In fact, I have never seen a game like that on Epic Picks. Utilize the Fortnite creative communities, which I've got a little slide after this. They've been insanely useful. Discord, Reddit, I'm a part of a couple of communities there. They help with feedback, playthroughs. If you need extra people to play test, they're there for you. Make a fabulous trailer so that you can use it on social media stuff. And also you need a good trailer that shows off your game, and you also need a polished playthrough and a fly-through. So while you're getting your trailer and you're wanting to apply for epic picks, you may as well get this footage at the same time, because if you're already doing that and you're already setting up the cameras, just do it all at once. I did not do it all at once because I didn't know that you needed all that stuff for epic picks, but it would have saved a lot of time. These are the sites that I use for analytics. I use Fortnite GG, and I use the Fortnite creator portal. Here are some of the differences between the two, which I am going to go through now. If anybody wants to have them like just all in one place, feel free to take a photo of like this difference list now, but otherwise I'm going to go through them all like individually next, so you can see like some of the perks of them. So the creator portal obviously shows you your graphs of how many people are playing your game. This was, how long ago? A month ago, 2 months ago or something. Almost reached 500,000 players, woo! And it gives you like monthly graphs that you can see. You can see your peaks and stuff, and it's also accurate, which I'll go into Fortnite GG in a sec. That's not accurate. This is really useful. It's your island XP. It'll show you like who is getting the achievements and whether you want to make them harder or easier or whatever. This is what's giving out the XP, and this is the amount of XP that it's giving out. So super interesting and useful analytic. And this is the payout data, which is the accurate data because they're the people that are paying you. As you can see, December is when I got epic picks. October, I was on a bunch of discovery tabs, and the rest were just kind of times that I was ticking along. A lot of the months that did better were ones that I was posting things on TikTok and engaging with the community and stuff. So if you are hitting that and actually like, you know, set up a schedule where you're posting a lot of things, you do get a lot of plays, especially from TikTok. A lot of kids are on those TikTok reels, and they, as soon as they see a map, they're like, oh, this looks awesome, I will play it. And then they'll message back again on the same video and be like, I played it, I loved it, which is really cute. Yeah, so in like being completely transparent about money and stuff, this is all in US dollars. All up for 3 months of development that was not full-time. It was full-time probably the last month. The first 2 months were part-time. All up, I've made about 16,000 Australian dollars, which is pretty good for like 3 months of like part-time work. And then, as I said, at the moment for the past few months, it's been like anywhere between like $300 to $500 like a month, which is fine with me because I'm super busy. So it's just nice to have like a little bit of passive income ticking away in the background. This is Fortnite GG. It's a completely external site. Also really, really useful. I was on this a ton. This is their discovery tab. So it actually shows you what discovery tabs you're showing up on. So that was really cool to see like when and where I was hitting like the favorites or the trending. Trending was really good. Yeah, so that's a useful thing inside of Fortnite GG. The player count and your estimated earnings. This is not accurate at all, but it was still kind of fun to have a sort of ballpark estimate while it's ticking along, because Fortnite, the Fortnite Creator Portal only tells you how much you've earned at the end of the month. So this was kind of nice to see like player equals dollars kind of thing. Even though it wasn't that accurate, it's still kind of nice to know what like ballpark you're kind of sitting in. And this was really cool as well. This is the Fortnite similar style maps. I was on this a ton. It's a really great way to see what other games are in similar kind of categories to your game. Click on them, and then you get their entire graph. You get how much estimated money they're earning. You get like all of their player counts and analytics as well. So you can see it'll show you just below your game graph. If you scroll down, it shows you all of the tabs that your game is showing up in. So I'm in collection maps, atmospheric maps, and casual maps. So that was super cool to be able to check out games. I've also it has their codes and stuff, so you can click on them and play them as well and see what other people are doing. These are the great communities, as I mentioned earlier. Basically, the official Fortnite creator, the UEFN Discord, is amazing. So many amazing supportive people. The FCHQ is also fantastic. These are the two that I'm in the most. They've also generated job opportunities. I've done random little collaborations where a program will reach out to me and be like, hey, I love Cat Cafe. Would you mind making a level for my game? I'm like, sure. If I make a level for your game, will you make me program some UI for me? And they're like, yeah, sure. So we've really cute little community things. Yeah, also gotten some paid jobs from there as well, so super cool. Yeah, and rounding it up, the takeaways. What did we go over? Elevating your Fortnite assets. Standing out and using your UE5 skills inside of UEFN. Planning out your optimization early so you don't have to do the task of walking through the trenches and optimizing later. Be aware of it early. Marketing your game. Yay, footage, TikTok. And follow your game success and look at the analytics and get excited. So I'm going to end on this video that I put together, which is just such a beautiful, gratifying thing that I put together for this talk that was words that I found from people who loved the game. That is just not playing. Yeah, it's very heartwarming. I'm not sure why that's... Now it's playing. There was actually a song over the top of this, and I wasn't allowed to play it because of copyright. So now it's just a silent, kind of ominous wall of text. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you very much for coming to my talk. Feel free to message me or anything whenever you like. I am so into game development and UEFN development and just meeting people and talking shop and stuff. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help with anything. And there's my island code as well if you'd like to play Cat Cafe. Send me a message and I'll add it to my ominous text wall.